The Batman is directed by Matt Reeves and stars Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne and Batman, Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle, and Paul Dano as the Riddler. In this film, Bruce Wayne has been prowling the city streets of Gotham at night as Batman for 2 years. He's pretty new to the job, and the police don't really trust him yet, although Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright, has developed a friendship with him. And when dead bodies begin to show up with cryptic clues left by a serial killer calling himself the Riddler, Batman and Gordon team up to try to solve this case. A few years back, I kind of stopped doing the whole, my most anticipated movie of the year thing, but part of me thinks that if I were still doing that list, The Batman would have been the #1. Matt Reeves has never made a bad film. I love Cloverfield. I loved his Let Me In remake and both of his Apes movies. I think he's one of the best filmmakers working today, and I'm so glad he's working in the studio space because he's making really interesting and bold, dramatic films out of what someone else might have just looked at as a paycheck picture. I've also been pulling for Robert Pattinson for many, many years. I thought he was fantastic in so many films, namely my favorite movie of 2019, The Lighthouse. So when he was cast as Batman, I was ecstatic. I thought it was a fantastic choice, despite what many people on the internet keep doing over and over again who have not learned their lesson ever. They just keep doing it. The Batman is absolutely fantastic. It's a 3-hour movie that felt like 2. It's very much as advertised. Reeves has talked extensively about how he wanted to make a detective movie that felt like film noir, that had aspects of David Fincher movies like Seven, and he succeeded with flying colors. Even though Batman has definitely investigated cases in the past in movies like Mask of the Phantasm or The Dark Knight, it's never been shown to this extent. Reeves is meticulous in how he depicts Batman's ability to solve crimes, and the tech that he uses that I won't spoil, I thought was brilliant. I've never seen it done before in a Batman movie. It was an ingenious way for Batman to tabulate everything that he was investigating. The choice to make the Riddler essentially the Zodiac Killer is also very smart. Because if you look at real-life true crime, someone like the Zodiac who left ciphers and clues and toyed with the police is essentially the Riddler. And although I will always have an affinity for Jim Carrey as that character, this really brings the Riddler down to earth and makes him feel like someone that could feasibly pop up one day. And so the film is sufficiently terrifying at times. And having loved Paul Dano in multiple films, especially Prisoners, the choice to make him a psychotic, murdering maniac works for me. Michael Giacchino had a tough job with this movie because you've had so many great Batman scores over the years. Danny Elfman, James Newton Howard, and Hans Zimmer. You know, it's just, there's so much great Batman music. When you step into that realm, what are you going to do that feels unique? There's a reason this guy gets hired on so many movies. He's brilliant, and I love his Batman theme, because it's sufficiently sad while also being exciting and very manly. Like, it feels very muscular, but it's also bleak. Really great shit, man. Loved it. There's been a fair amount of actresses that have played Catwoman in live-action films. Of course, the infamous Halle Berry film. We've had Anne Hathaway and the iconic Michelle Pfeiffer, who I still think is the best Catwoman. But Zoe Kravitz is excellent as Selina Kyle. I love the simplicity of her mask. It works for a character that is not rich, that does not have a lot of money at all. And she would have just cut that out herself and put it on her face, and it just makes sense. Colin Farrell as the Penguin is absolutely unrecognizable. What they've done with him is astounding. And it's not even just the way he looks. You know, sometimes you hear criticism about actors who get a lot of praise for a role where they're wearing a lot of makeup or prosthetics, or there's been CGI work done and all that. His voice, though, I don't know how that voice is coming out of Colin Farrell. It just doesn't sound a thing like him. And again, the Penguin could be a character that you could really go over the top with. And he does. He is very big in the movie. It's not like Danny DeVito eating fish and spitting and stuff. It's not that over the top. But every time Colin Farrell has played a villain in a comic book movie, like Bullseye in Daredevil, he definitely goes there. This time, I think it really works. And he also has one of the most insane sequences in the film, which you've seen pieces of in the trailer, an amazing car chase with the Batmobile. And that scene was fucking riveting. I also loved Andy Serkis as Alfred. I mean, the casting here is just fucking on point. Everyone is so, so good. So let's talk about the obvious elephant in the room, Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne and Batman. This guy, man, I'm not gonna hear shit I don't want to hear fucking shit about Robert Pattinson and Twilight or Sparkles or whatever I don't want to hear it. It's done. It's fucking done. As a people, we're moving on. He's so good in this movie, not just as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne especially. He is very silent. I've obviously only seen the movie once, and it's not like I'm sitting there counting, but it really feels like this is the least amount of lines that has been given to the lead character of a Batman movie. There's a great sequence that's been released already that shows him at a funeral, Bruce Wayne, and he basically just looks at people throughout the whole scene, and it's kind of crushing. You really feel the darkness and the sadness that's looming behind this character. And they do that without going too much into the backstory that we've all heard and seen 1,000 times. You feel that loss just through his portrayal. I also loved how his house was very Batman-y. I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but the Nolan films were so realistic. This film is also very grounded, but his house really does look kind of like a gothic manor. It looks like the kind of house where the gargoyles would be on the fucking inside. And he's great as Batman. The film has very minimal uses of humor, just like the Nolan trilogy did, where you would insert the occasional, I don't want to say joke, just like it's just got fun moments. I mean, if you actually watch Batman Begins, that's a fairly funny movie. I mean, remember Nice Coat? I mean, there's actually a fair amount of jokes in Batman Begins. I don't need protection. Protection for them. There's tons of jokes in the Dark Knight trilogy, and the Dark Knight movie is actually very funny. It's just funny in all the scariest ways. This movie has less humor than those films, but there is a surprising amount of levity in certain sequences. Nothing that is going to take away from the experience, and I'll talk about it more in the spoiler video probably, but the Batman suit obviously does a lot of work for an actor who's portraying him. But what Reeves and Pattinson have done with the character in this movie is very much about how he carries himself, how Batman walks, how he turns, how he looks at people. He's intimidating without saying anything. He often comes out of the shadows with very heavy footsteps, but you don't see him for a long time. You just hear those footsteps approaching. I'm getting goosebumps right now. It was amazing. Reeves helms the action with such a clear view of everything. Sometimes the camera isn't even moving. It's just a locked down wide of Batman beating the shit out of people, which is wonderful. The film kind of explores Batman's view at this early stage in his career of what he thinks the city needs. And in a way, it's kind of a coming-of-age story, even though he already is Batman. It's not an origin story, but it's kind of about him learning to be the Batman that Gotham kind of needs him to be. And I really loved the way they handled it. That's obviously been explored in various movies. At the end of The Dark Knight, he's like, I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be. You know, I get it. It's been done before. But it's here, the way they did it, and I'll talk about it in the spoiler video, was really smart. I have things I want to talk about in that spoiler video. I really do. I won't mention, I won't say, I'll be quiet. But I'm looking forward to talking about it. Guys, this movie genuinely really actually satisfied me. Even films that I've enjoyed watching, you know, there were little things about it that kind of bugged me. Like I legitimately loved Spider-Man No Way Home. But there were little things, like there were just little things about it that I would have maybe changed, especially from a directorial standpoint. There's really nothing in this movie that I would want to be different. I love how long it is. I love how meticulous Reeves is about examining crime scenes and showing how Batman operates. I loved Pattinson in the role and everybody else in the movie. I think this is fucking phenomenal. I can't wait to watch it again. It's coming out soon. I hope you guys enjoy it, but I also want to let you know that my Kickstarter campaign for the feature I'm going to be directing this summer, Shelby Oaks, is going to launch tomorrow, March 1st. And we need your guys' help. We really do. We've run into a lot of issues trying to get the film off the ground. There's a lot of things that I really want to do, and I really want to make the best film that I can for you guys. I really want to deliver for you guys. And I also want to invite you on a fun experience. This Kickstarter is going to be filled with so many behind-the-scenes videos, set meetings you can watch. You can watch me and the other actors on set. We'll provide you with behind the scenes footage, and we'll interact with you guys constantly there. And we really want to make it be a hub for independent filmmakers or for people who are just aspiring filmmakers to learn about the process, but also just invite you along on the ride. We've been aiming for 10,000 signups. I was told we crossed 9,000. We are really hoping that you can go to shelbyoaksmovie.com and sign up through your email there, get invited to the Discord server. I just released a 30-minute Q&A video there answering a lot of your guys' questions. So please do go to that link and sign up with your email. On March 1st, the campaign will launch. I could use all the help you can give me, and I will always be in your debt. Thank you so much, guys. Please go to shelbyoaksmovie.com and sign up. The campaign starts tomorrow. I really hope you guys check out The Batman. It's worth your time. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.